think I got into architecture after realizing what I really wanted to do. I don't think I was inspired by anyone. I had always had a science education, science-based education, pre-engineering. I was always pre-engineering, and I thought that I was going to probably be a chemical engineer, because in those days everybody wanted to be a chemical engineer and go to the Middle East. And then I think in my last year I just decided that I didn't want to have anything to do with engineering. And since I'd always been creative and inclined towards art, architecture appealed to me, that I was doing something that was technical but also creative. So that's when I decided that I would be an architect. How would I define my signature style? I don't think I have a signature style. I really don't. I think that we approach every project on its own merits. I think my major focus is to make sure that things as designed are well thought out, well detailed, and well crafted. Okay, that's really my major effort. I mean, I don't try to make it look like any particular style or any particular genre, or I'm not interested in that. In my opinion, architecture can't be separated from environmental concerns. I mean, I think as an architect, when you look at site considerations, when you look at programmatic considerations, how people live, the environmental equation comes into it automatically. There's no way that you can say that I would design a building without keeping in mind environmental considerations. Environmental considerations are part and parcel of good design. However, in today's day and age, there's greater sensitivity towards the use of appropriate materials, because so much material that we use in architecture is manufactured. In the old days, you used local materials and they were appropriate because that was what was available to you on site or close by. So you use natural materials like brick or stone or wood, etc. But today things are manufactured, and so we have to be more careful about how they are manufactured and how they are used. What impact it has what impact the manufacturing process has on the environment. So those are concerns. So yes, definitely I would say that our work, we are always very conscious about environmental issues, sustainability issues. We always try to make buildings not only be implicitly green but explicitly green, that they talk about being green. What is my ultimate goal? I think my ultimate goal is, for the industry as it relates to Pakistan, is to promote excellence in architecture. That we need to get to a certain level before I would say that we are producing high quality architecture in Pakistan. I don't think we're there yet. I'm not, and I don't think very many people are. Let me rephrase that. The architecture profession and the construction industry as on the whole needs to improve its level of professionalism. I think there is still a lot of construction that happens in a very ad hoc manner. The problem is that there is no requirement for the proper professional practices to be applied to all projects. There are vast number of projects. In fact, I would say the vast majority of projects are built without the involvement of any professional. Okay, I mean, I think they are designed primarily on the flies. A lot of times engineers are doing the design. A lot of times contractors are doing the design. And so the quality of the design and its durability and its safety issues are not being taken into consideration, which means that we are producing buildings that are substandard in terms of their ability to perform as we expect them to perform, in terms of durability and in terms of design. And because ultimately, remember that design impacts the way we live. You know, if your bathroom is not designed well, you're not going to function, that bathroom is not going to function the way it's supposed to, and it will hamper your ability to live comfortably, and it will probably damage your plumbing. You know, I mean, these are all the things that a little thing like a bathroom can impact. So, you know, those are the sort of things that need to be applied across the board in the profession, and we need to improve that. And the only way that will improve is if, you know, the government takes a role in this, the professional associations take a role in this, and impress on people who are in the building industry to use professionals and to use them effectively. What is my design process is varies depending on the project, but by and large it starts with me sketching an idea. It might be, you know, it may be in the form of drawings, it might be just some scribbles, it might actually be writing even, and then on the basis of those preliminary scribbles on the paper, I'll come up with some idea, some position that I want to take up on the design, and we'll develop it from there. Then, I mean, I think with time and with experience, I'm able to take a lot of shortcuts. I mean, I know what will work, and I'm not fooling around looking for solutions that might not work. So, what is my favorite? I don't think I have a favorite part of the process. I think all aspects of architectural design and production can be enjoyable, provided that the conditions are right. You know, doing the initial design, you know, developing it into the right kind of details, thinking about materials, talking to clients, talking to your consultants, talking to contractors, you know, relating, conveying your design, and then eventually having it be built, seeing it being realized. All of those things have, you know, a level of enjoyment. So, you know, I think if I said that there was some aspect of my work that I don't enjoy, I don't think I would be incorrect. I think everything, you know, depends on how you like it. I'm open to all input from clients. I think that it's the right of the client to give their opinion and their comments and their desires, because after all, you're designing for them. I mean, my whole purpose at the start of a project is to figure out what the client needs, what the client desires, what the client is aspiring to, you know. So those are the things that you know, that we are exploring at the start of a project. And then once that's established, we add our own ideas about the project. Okay, now taking the client's requirements, desires, etc., and then interpreting it into a design is what we do. Okay, now if a client comes in and says, no, but I wanted it designed this way, well, then the client's doing the design, and then they don't need an architect. Okay, so there's a difference between a client's input and a client doing the design. So that differentiation is very important, because if the client already has an idea of what they want, then they should just build it, right? But I mean, I'm always open to everything the client has to say. We'll take it on its own merits, and we will interpret it in the best way possible. I think that's sort of the fair balance between a client and an architect, and that's how it should be. What trends will be out and what will be in? I think that the trend that will be in will be a greater interest in environment and climatic issues, because they impact the way we live. Because we are dealing with energy crises, we're dealing with climate change. They are now becoming apparent to us. We're getting, every year we get a heat wave. We have shortage of water. So all of these things are going to impact design. We're going to end up designing more efficient buildings. I think I'm going to get more clients coming in asking that we design buildings that are easier to cool. That means insulated cavity walls. It means better insulation on the roof. Designing buildings that are more climatically responsive. Similarly, we'll be I think that people have realized that unnecessarily fussy details, a lot of historical details are always very difficult to maintain. So we don't do that much anyway. I feel if there's one thing that I make sure we do is that we try to be modern and contemporary. So none of our work really has that, but I don't think anybody's going to be. I think that's something that's on its way out. I think people are beginning to get a little bit more aesthetically savvy, I guess, that they know what the global trends are. So there's less interest in things that are old and historical. So I think that's something that I anticipate will be the change. I don't pay much attention to seasonal colors. Okay, yeah, that's for paint companies to figure out. वो हर साल उनका एक paint of the year launch हो जाता है. I don't know. I don't buy that. But I think materials, they're only appropriate materials. There are no seasonal materials. Materials are based on the need of the project. If a project, requires a certain material. But I will say this, I think there is going to be a greater tendency, I predict, towards lightweight construction. Okay, and I would, even if there isn't, I would say that we should. The reason for that is that that technology and that knowledge is now more readily available and applicable here in Pakistan. There are more companies that are providing lightweight construction solutions, and so it's important for us to adopt it, because when your building material is lightweight, then your structure is lighter. When your structure is lighter, that's where the cost saving comes in. The cost of construction has gone so high that in order for us to be able to deal with housing for everyone, you have to bring the cost down and to optimize the process of construction. That's the only way that it's going to work, is if we go towards a lighter weight construction. So I think that's where the trend is going to be. A family looking to build a new house should be practical, should not be thinking about what everybody else is doing, should be looking at their own needs and requirements. And they should be looking at their needs and requirements for today and into the near future. They should not be looking at what will happen 30 years from today, what will happen when the kids grow up, they'll come and live with us, because then you end up overbuilding, because you're anticipating needs that don't exist at the moment, and you end up designing for a future that we don't know about. You need to design for the present. You need to design the smallest house you can live in. And I'll say that, smallest house you can live in, because that's the most practical thing, that's the most economical thing. And that's, I'm not saying that you need to live in a tiny house. maybe the smallest house you can live in is a mansion, but don't build spaces that remain empty for most of the day. I think that a house is only as good as the spaces that we live in. If we have half a dozen rooms that are never used, except for maybe 2 or 3 times a month, then those spaces are wasted, in my opinion. That's how I see it. And I think the way around that is obviously to have multifunctional spaces. If you want, rather than having a separate AV theater, your lounge can be both. So that's how I think one needs to think about living, because I think big houses that are mostly empty are just a waste. They're not even fun to make. Well, there are many ways to answer this question. Architecture students have a lot to learn. What's in the curriculum, in my opinion, is only a fraction of what you need to know as an architect. As an architect, you need to have a very broad knowledge base. You need to know about history, about philosophy, about health and medicine. You have to know about technical issues. You need to know about law. You need to know about climate. You need to know about earth. Geology. You need to know about all sorts of things. So the broader your knowledge, the more you learn, the better you're going to be. I mean, that to me is architecture education in a nutshell. I mean, this has been true ever since we've been recording the works of architecture. I mean, you go back to ancient Rome, that's what they used to say back then also. So an architect never stops learning and should always should be in a learning mode, should always be open to new ideas. And an architecture student, in the 4 or 5 years that they are in an architecture school, should be just soaking up as much information as they can, as much knowledge as they can. I think all of my projects have their memorable moments. I don't think that any one stands out as most memorable. I've had the good fortune of working on a number of really interesting projects, very challenging projects. Some got built and finished, some didn't. Some I did under my own name. A lot of them that I did when I was working for other offices. They've all been good experiences, and they've all been learning experiences. So I think that's the important thing, that you take something away from every project, and that informs your work in the future, next project, and so on. What would be my dream project? I think a few projects have come close to the definition of dream project. And that means that you get to design. You have a client that believes in you, whose trust you have, and you have a good relationship with them. They come with well-defined brief, design brief, and they give you the resources to achieve that brief. And that, in my opinion, is a dream project. That you get to realize what you conceived on a piece of paper, and the client appreciated it. I think that's a dream project.